And welcome back. We are at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, and I have with me now Amy Holtz. And she is a film producer with a film that has just come out, a documentary, which I think all of you need to see. We're going to tell you how you can look at it in just a minute, but I want you to tell Amy the rest of the story. This is a film on what subject?
It is a film about Israel Apartheid Week, which is coming up in America on February 27th through March 3rd. And it's sponsored annually, and it's run in cities and campuses throughout the country, and it is systematic anti-Israel, one-sided, biased propaganda. And many kids are exposed to it, many students are exposed to it, and they're not getting both sides of the story, and it's horrible. So we made this film to expose what is happening, and we want people to get the real facts about Israel, to understand both sides of the story. And our film is called Crossing the Line. It'll be available on your website for free. Just enter in your email address and get the facts.
Now, a lot of people don't understand what we're talking about when they talk about Israel and they talk about all of the situations that you mentioned. They say, what is she talking about, and how is it happening in a modern day when everybody's supposed to be so open-minded?
Well, it's very scary, actually, and especially that it's happening on college campuses, because you send your kids to college thinking they're going to get a great education. They're going to learn both sides of the story. But what's happening under a doctrine called academic freedom, professors with a one-sided anti-Israel agenda are only teaching their side of the story. So they're not giving both sides, and it's really quite upsetting that it's happening here in America.
So you're finding that anti-Semitism is growing on the college campus?
Right, but let me be clear that legitimate criticism of the state of Israel is fine. It's when it crosses the line into anti-Semitism, when it holds Israel. In the film, you'll see, we define anti-Semitism. We use Natan Sharansky's 3 Ds. When you hold the country to a double standard, which they hold Israel to a completely different standard. They demonize the country and they delegitimize it. And you'll see when you watch the film how often that's exactly what's happening on these college campuses.
You know, a lot of people would think in a modern-day world that anti-Semitism went out with World War II. But it's back, and it seems like it's coming back stronger than we ever thought.
But it's being masked as anti-Zionism. It's very important to know that it's called anti-Zionism. They say they're against the state of Israel, but you'll see in the film how it crosses the line. And the film actually starts out with a very powerful quote from Martin Luther King. It says, when you're talking about Israel, when you're making negative claims about Israel, you're talking about anti-Semitism. But it's really when it crosses the line that it becomes a problem.
Well, that's the name of it, Crossing the Line.
Crossing the Line. It's fabulous.
You could have made documentaries on anything. Why do this?
We think it's very important that people understand the problem and that they get their kids educated before they get to college. We actually have a new film that just came out that we'll talk about in a couple of months called Israel Inside, which tells the positive side of Israel. It introduces you to the Israeli people, and it shows how the Israelis are people that live in a tough neighborhood, and they are under tremendous pressure, but they take things like adversity, like tremendous drought, and they turn it to advantage, building something like drip irrigation, and then they share this great invention with the world. So it introduces you to the Israeli people and our struggles and how we're doing the best we can in a tough situation.
Now you are going to try to put together a curriculum, I understand, to go with this that would help prepare young people for what they might experience on the college campus. Is that what I understand? We
already have it. It's available at stepupforisrael.com. You could get 4 hours, and you could learn all the great things Israel has done for the world. You could learn how Israel was created. The state of Israel was created because of all this talk that it wasn't created legitimately. It is created extremely legitimately. You'll learn about that. You will learn about media bias. There's a lot of media bias out there. And the last thing you'll learn are basic skills on how to speak up for Israel.
Well, I salute you for doing the documentary.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, and I want to encourage all of you to see it. If they want to go on the internet to learn more about your work, what do they do?
Go to stepupforisrael.com.
Very good. And you'll see Amy Holtz. I want you to put her on your prayer list. She's doing a great work. And on this show, we are for Israel. We appreciate what Israel has done for the world in history. We love them right now, and we'll always stand with them. And we stand with you and appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do.
Very good. We're going to continue with our visit here at the NRB. Stay with us.
Take care.